if you don't believe that you can do it, you'll always have doubt. And then you won't be able to do what's necessary. You won't be able to commit 100%. You won't be able to take all the risks that come with whatever it is that you're pursuing.
All right, so welcome to you, our lawyer, Lem Garcia. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Would you tell the audience about what you're doing and what a typical day is like for you?
Yeah, so what I'm doing with my law degree is I opened up a firm 10 years ago and we just do personal injury cases. So from then it was just focused on that. Started out with just me, brought in my wife a couple of years later, and then now it's grown to I think there's like 20 people working here. We're in Los Angeles, California, just focused only on personal injury, primarily car accident cases. It's been going well. And then as far as day to day goes, I think I still handle cases. But I'm more in the management of the day to day. And then if they have questions, I could help out because I've been handling cases for a long time now. I can just help them out, move things along, and just keeping track of the business, making sure that we have the right people in place, the right systems in place, the right standing operating procedures in place to make sure that we're thriving.
Yeah. So personal injury is everywhere, right? A lot of times, if you're not a lawyer or a law student, people are like, what is that? Car accident, sometimes medical malpractice, slip and falls, things like that. But like cars are everywhere. We get in our cars, we just expect them to work. We don't expect someone to hit us on the way going somewhere. So like, I think it's fascinating that you are able to create a practice solely around that, or like that be the majority of your business. Is that what you were expecting? Did you leave somewhere else to do this and you knew that it would be profitable or what?
No, I had no idea that it would turn out this way. When I opened, I just wanted to get clients. Like I just opened up, got a small office, maybe 450 square feet, and then just advertised for wills and trusts, Social Security disability, workers' comp, and also personal injury. And then I think one of my first clients was a car accident case, and that case settled for $30,000, which was the policy limits, and the fees was $10,000 from that. And I said, you know what, this is going to work out. I need to focus and really just hone in on this, just handle personal injury cases, go all in on that. And just after getting some reviews, some good feedback, a good reputation in the community, it just began to grow. Every year we were doubling in size of staff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. And so is your spouse, are they a lawyer as well or a paraprofessional or?
Yeah, my wife, she's also a lawyer. So she came in, I think, 2 years after the office opened up. And yeah, she's been instrumental in the growth. Really, it's a good balance. Like what I lack, she has. And it's been a really good team.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. So when I think about personal injury cases, I think about a lot of like depositions and finding out the information and whatever. Do you consider yourself a litigator and do you go to court with personal injury cases?
So I would not consider myself a litigator. I'm more of a business owner. I mean, I handle a handful of cases, but most car accident cases, personal injury cases do settle before even a lawsuit is filed. So there's not always a need to litigate a case. But when that time arises, we don't settle for less than what the case is worth. So when that time comes, we team up with other lawyers, other firms that I know well, that are my friends. And we team up with them so that they can do what they're good at and that I can focus on what we're good at. And ultimately, it works out really well for the client.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the whole point of like all of this, right? You make money to pay your bills, but mostly find the things that you're really good at and focus on those things. And then don't like stress yourself out trying to do the rest or trying to figure out how to do and whatever. So, Lem, how long did you work at other law firms before you started your own practice?
Before law school, I was a legal assistant for 4 years. So I worked for a complex civil litigator. It was just me and him in the office, and he handled class action cases, personal injury cases as well. So I was there for 4 years, and I kind of learned like the admin side and like the paralegal, legal assistant tasks. And then I went to law school and said, yeah, I'm enough of this. Let me go to law school and pursue this. And then I was just really working kind of just odd jobs before I opened up my practice. I was just kind of taking contract work, whatever, I would just go on, I think, Monster or Craigslist and look for jobs. And what I was finding was just really contract work. And then I just said, in 2014, just let me open up an office and see where it takes me.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a simple enough decision, but I'm sure it was probably pretty challenging for you to say, okay, I'll go on and just start my own. Were you married at the time in 2014?
In 2014, we got married. We got married in 2014, so we just married actually. So married in 2014, opened the practice in July of 2014, and then we had our first kid in November of 2014. So 2014 was pretty wild.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking about all the conversations because I'm married and you're like, hey, so yeah, I'm going to just open a business. Oh, okay. Wait, what? Like, so did you have one client or were you just like, you see, I'm hungry. You see, I'm always on Monster looking for work. Like, I promise that'll continue.
So I didn't have, I mean, when I opened, I didn't have any clients. It was just, let me stop focusing on getting a job with somebody else. Let me just open up my own practice now. It was always something that I wanted to do. And I think during that time, I was getting unemployment checks and I was still, figuring things out. And I said, just let me do it now before I get a well-paying job and I'll never want to leave. Right. Just let me take the risk now while I have a lot of time on my hands. And if I just dedicate a bunch of time, 12, 14 hours or more per day, I could just outwork everybody and make a decent amount of money to keep the lights on and to provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. I know that risk taking I feel like it's something that we do more often than we even think about, but I know that definitely was a big risk that you took in saying, let me go on and do it now so that I don't even get call it golden handcuffs,
Yes.
Where it's like someone gives you the cushy office and all the perks and then they keep increasing your bonus and then you never want to leave. So I asked that question because I was going to ask you, did you always want to run a business? But it sounds like you kind of have always had that leaning.
Yeah, I always wanted to have a business. It wasn't when I went to law school. It wasn't always I wanted to have my own practice and start something up. Like that wasn't something that I set out to do. I went to law school and then I didn't go to the best law school, and then I had an opportunity after my first year to transfer to a better school with my grades. But then the school I was at, Western State, they offered me a scholarship, full scholarship. So I was like, oh, you know what? I got to just take the scholarship so that when I'm out of school, I won't have that much debt. And then I have more freedom to do whatever it is that I want to do. If I had a high amount of debt, then I would have to take the highest bidder for my work and be forced to do that. So yeah, I always had my eye towards just being on my own, doing something, building something. And in 2014, it just kind of panned out. Just figured it out.
Yeah. No, I think that actually is really smart. So you've been saying you wanted to have flexibility, you wanted to have autonomy, and you also mentioned that on your survey. For everyone listening, I always send out a little quiz. I'm like, would you go to law school again? What do you do every day? And so what does it mean to you to have that autonomy, right? A lot of times business owners talk about how difficult it is and how challenging, but you're kind of like, but I get to make the decisions. It sounds like you actually enjoy that part of it. What's it like being a business owner?
I love being a business owner. I do think it comes with a lot of responsibility that I wasn't expecting when I opened up. I feel like I was just kind of, just new to everything. I just said, well, I'm just really optimistic. Let me figure everything out. But yeah, when you're a business owner, you have to wear all the hats and do everything until you have the opportunity to, bring on people that are really good at what they do. But as far as autonomy goes, I mean, it's great. I do get to, come and go as I please. But then the work still calls and beckons, and it's something that you always have to take care of, whether you're on vacation or you're at home. It's something that you just never know when like a catastrophe or something that urgent will come up, and something urgent always comes up. Like I don't think there's been a time when I've been on vacation where there isn't somebody raising the red flag and messaging me. Which is, it's fine. I know it comes with the territory. And I think it's just a matter of not fighting that. Like if you're a business owner, don't fight that. Just accept that. That's what it is. That's what you signed up for. And really just embrace it. Because the more you fight it, the more frustrated that you'll grow. The more frustrated you'll become.
Yeah. And I think that that's just part of being the decision maker, right? Like, I'm sure your team is competent and trained, but at some point they're like, wait, but this is also a Lem decision. You know what I mean? Or even if they're just like, but we got to inform him before we move to the next step. That just comes with having your name on the door.
Yeah, when your name's on the door, you make the decisions, which I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. Every little fire you do you put out. Ultimately, you're just a filter for all the problems. But on the plus side, I feel like if I worked for somebody else and I made a mistake, then I have someone scolding me. I had my boss scolding me, versus if I make a mistake and it's my own mistake, I just, look in the mirror and say, why'd you mess up? And then you just have to answer to yourself. So I would rather answer to myself than answer to, a boss that's going to, berate me potentially.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about the decision to go to law school, right? A little bit out of order for the interview, but you were already working in a legal adjacent role. Did you take that job expecting it to encourage you to go to law school, or what?
Yeah. So in college, I wanted to go to law school, but I was like, I don't really know what a lawyer does. And when I graduated, I found, I wanted to get a job in a law firm. It wasn't a huge firm, a sole practitioner. I thought, well, yeah, why not? I could, work with him. So I took that job to kind of just get a feel for what does a lawyer do? Do I really want to go to law school? I mean, it's a huge risk. Like you don't even know if you're going to pass the bar exam. You don't know if you're going to even graduate. People, they say you look to your left, you look to your right, someone's going to be out, right? And I mean, that did happen. Thankfully, it wasn't me, but that risk does happen. I was still doing a lot of growing up at that time, 22 years old, trying to figure things out. Do I really want to go? Do I want to spend the time and money? And then I just said, you know what? I'm getting older. The time has come. I think I really need to do something with my life. My parents were pushing me to do it. My mom was guilting me into doing it. Like, what are you doing? You're just really just squandering your time hanging out, spending money hanging out. What are you going to do? Big picture. And I just said, I finally just got to go and hope for the best.
Yeah. Okay. Were you surprised when you were in law school and you saw how theoretical it was compared to someone who had been working around lawyers?
Yeah, I mean, the first year of law school, I thought, okay, I've been working in a law firm from just me and the attorney, and I thought that I would come in knowing a lot of things, but I really didn't. It was, yeah, like you said, just kind of like theoretical concepts and things that I was not exposed to working at a firm. I mean, there were things that I was exposed to, like concepts in civil procedure I was familiar with from working at the firm, but everything else not so much. And yeah, it was a big surprise that first year of school. It's just like, okay, I just need to kind of just listen and forget what I do know and just listen to what the teachers say and go from there.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point. I went to law school at 28 years old. And so for me, it was difficult because I had come from making money. And so I was like, why did I take this break again? Why did I choose to you know what I mean? To have someone stress me out and read? I was like, man, this was not what I was expecting. But then I did learn to love it. And then when you get out of law school and it just opens up everything. You know what I mean? Like you get a house and you're actually reading the mortgage, or you go to buy a car and you're actually reading the lease agreement. You're like, wait, what does it mean? What is this? What is this? I definitely see it as being valuable, but I had no idea what lawyers did either. I only knew an insurance defense lawyer before I went to school. So Lem, as a business owner and a lawyer, do you mentor the people that work in your office?
Absolutely. I think mentorship is really important. I mean, I have my mentors, like my previous boss, and even now I have, some other attorneys that I speak to just about building a practice or the practice of law. And I think it's important to keep that going, just like how they did with me, to teach what you know. And I think, it helps them do what they're doing, but then also helps your practice, because if you explain the why behind what you're doing and you just take that extra few minutes to explain why you made that decision or why we're doing it this way, then they could apply that later on to what they're doing and then just be better at what they do, be more confident in what they do. And then also on the other side, it'll also help you out because now you have people that are really good at what they're doing and they don't always need to come to you for issues that come up because they can just figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I have one last question for you. And it's a question that I ask every single guest that comes on the show. And that is, what would you say to a young lawyer, 5 years practicing or less, or a law student about what they could do with their law degree?
I would tell them that they can do whatever it is that they want to do with their law degree. I think the main sticking point is that they really have to believe in themselves and that they can do it. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, you'll always have doubt. And then you won't be able to do what's necessary. You won't be able to commit 100%. You won't be able to take all the risks that come with whatever it is that you're pursuing. So that belief in yourself comes first. And then after that, you can commit and just do all the tasks that you don't want to do. You can do everything, spend the money, take the time, use the energy that you're going to need to overcome everything that it is that you're going to encounter.
Yeah. I think that's good. I saw something on social media earlier today and it said, the life you want is on the other side of discomfort. And I was like, that's so negative. And then I was like, I do a lot of stuff I don't like doing. I was like, actually, yeah. Yeah. Because even you said earlier, you worked the 12 or 14-hour days when you first started your firm, and hopefully you're not working that long of a day now, but like you have to put in that time and then like you grow and your firm expands and now maybe they're putting in those hours to make up for the time that you were. But yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yep. Yeah, and you definitely have to be able to put it in. And I think, yeah, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to do it. You're just going to make it, whatever excuse, like, oh, it's too risky. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. Just all the excuses come after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you ever have a moment where you were like, you know what? It's too hard. I'll just go get a job. Did that ever come up?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think the first 6 months were pretty rough because then the phone wasn't ringing that much. The clients weren't coming in that much. I would waste a lot of time talking to people about estate planning, and they didn't want to plan their estate at that time. They're like, there's no urgency to get one. I mean, unless you're really, pushing them like, hey, you never know what's going to happen. You need to have your estate plan today. And I wasn't that kind of like I wasn't pushing them to get. I was like, well, it's a good idea. It's prudent, but you don't have to do it. You have time. But yeah, the first 6 months, and then it was tough because I was spending a lot of money. Like the well was running dry. And I think, unemployment, like I was still able to collect unemployment because I was still trying to get the business going and still applying for work. And I even called the, EDD. I was like, hey, is this okay? Like, yeah, it's fine. You're applying for work. And I'm like, yeah, okay, good. I am. But that was, that was ending. And then we were in debt. Like when we got married, almost $200,000 in debt. So I said, no, I gotta, and I have a baby in the house, so things gotta pan out. Like, hey, I'm passing up these opportunities. I could make 100,000 per year if I just took a job. So yeah, it was tough. I think the first 6 months until I think that case closed. I said, you know what, I can make it happen. I just need to get some more of these car accident cases and focus on that, and it'll be all right.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of really good lessons there, right? Like you get that case and then you're like, wait, all that time turned into this $30,000 or whatever it is that you took home. And you're
Yeah.
like, so if I put a little bit more time, I would get all of that back.
Yeah.
Because even choosing to not take whatever $100,000 job, that's a risk,
Yeah.
right? For you to say,
Yeah.
no, actually, I bet I could make 3 times that if I just did it myself. That's
Yeah.
a risk,
Yeah, it's a huge risk to passing up a job. That's money in the bank. You just, okay, I'm secure 100,000 and get benefits, versus you have an office and you're just hoping that the phone is going to ring and you're going to do a good job and figuring that out. Because I at the time I didn't really know things as much as I know now. But I just made sure to talk to a bunch of people, do things the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true, right? It's just that you have to do the work. It's part, you have to believe it and then you have to actually like put the steps into that belief. It can't just like only be the belief. And
Yeah.
then sometimes it can't only be the work. It has to be like both of them.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I'm really lucky that the way I was raised with my parents, they really instilled this belief in myself that I could do whatever it is that I set out to do if I just worked hard. But yeah, it's a huge risk. Yeah.
It's how it happens. It's how it
Yeah.
happened for me. But I think these stories are important because it's not always like I had a terrible boss and I ran and then I started my own thing. It's like, no, I always had an inkling and then I still wanted to do it and then I took the risk, right? And then even when you listen to this and your friends or family listen and they can be like, look at all that faith you had in yourself that you did it, right? So even that should bring even more clients. That's the whole point of this,
Yeah.
to
No,
promote other
definitely.
lawyers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. Eventually, I wouldn't want to have someone telling me what to do.
Well, Lem Garcia, thank you so much for joining the You Are Lawyer podcast. I know the audience is definitely going to enjoy hearing from you and learning about you starting your firm. All right. You have a great day.
All right. You too. Thank you.